Yah, please fill me with the Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, amen. We'll start with the Shema, listen and obey. Children of Yah, pay careful attention and respond. Yahweh is our power and authority. Yahweh works in unity with himself. And you shall act upon your love to Yahweh with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Genesis 21 through 24. Yahweh remembered Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the very time God had said to him. Abraham called his son, born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzhak. Abraham circumcised his son Yitzhak when he was 8 days old, as God had ordered him to do. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yitzhak, laughter, was born to him. Sarah said, God has given me good reason to laugh. Now everyone who hears about it will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham and Sarah would nurse children? Nevertheless, I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham had a great banquet on the day that Yitzhak was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom Hagar had borne to Abraham, making fun of Yitzhak. So Sarah said to Abraham, throw this slave girl out, and her son. I have not had this slave girl's son on your heir, along with my son Yitzhak? Abraham became very distressed over this matter of his son. But God said to Abraham, don't be distressed because of the boy and your slave girl. Listen to everything Sarah says to you, because it is your descendants through Yitzhak who will be counted. But I will also make a nation from the son of the slave girl, since he is descended from you. Abraham got up early in the morning, took bread and a skin of water, and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child. Then he sent her away. After leaving, she wandered in the desert around Beersheba. When the water and the skin was gone, she left the child under a bush and went and sat down, looking the other way, about a bow's shot distance from her, because she said, I can't bear to watch my child die. So she sat there, looking the other way, crying out and weeping. God heard the boy's voice, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what's wrong with you, Hagar? Don't be afraid, because God has heard the voice of the boy in his present situation. Get up and lift the boy up, and hold him tightly in your hand, because I'm going to make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went, filled the skin with the water, and gave the boy water to drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He lived in the desert and became an archer. He lived in the Paran desert, and his mother chose a wife for him from the land of Egypt. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham. They said, God is with you in everything you do. Therefore, swear to me, here by God, that you will never deal falsely with me or with my son or grandson, but according to the kindness with which I have treated you. You will treat me in the land in which you have lived as a foreigner. Abraham said, I swear it. Now Abraham had complained to Abimelech about a well which Abimelech's servants had seized. Abimelech answered, I don't know who has done this. You didn't tell me, and I heard about it only today. Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Abraham put 7 female lambs from the flock of themselves. Abimelech asked Abraham, what is this meaning of these 7 female lambs you have put by themselves? He answered, You are to accept these 7 female lambs from me as witness that I dug this well. This is why this place was called Beersheba, well of 7, well of an oath, because they both swore an oath there. When they made the covenant at Beersheba, Abimelech departed with Pichol, the commander of his army, and returned to the land of the Plishtim. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting God. Abraham lived for a long time as a foreigner in the land of the Plishtim. After these things, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham. And he answered, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Yitzhak, and go to the land of Moriah. There you will offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will point out to you. Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, together with Yitzhak his son. He cut the wood for the burnt offering, departed, and went toward the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place in a distance. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go there, worship, and return to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Yitzhak his son. Then he took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they both went on together. Yitzhak spoke to Abraham his father. My father, he answered. Here I am, my son, he said. I see the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham replied, God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. They both went on together. They came to the place God had told him about, and Abraham built an altar there, set the wood in order, bound Yitzhak his son, and laid him on the altar on the wood. Then Abraham put on his hand and took the knife to kill his son. But the angel of Yahweh called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Here I am. He said, Don't lay your hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. For now I know that you are a man who fears God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the bushes by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called the place Yahweh Yireh. The Lord will see to it, the Lord provides. As it is said to this day, on the mountain Yahweh is seen. The angel of Yahweh called to Abraham a second time out of heaven. He said, I have sworn by myself, says Yahweh, that because you have done this, because you haven't withheld your son, your only son, I will most certainly bless you. I will most certainly increase your descendants to as many as there are stars in the sky or grains of sand in the seashore. Your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed my order. So Abraham returned to his young men. They got up and went to Beersheba, and Abraham settled in Beersheba. Afterwards, Abraham was told, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nachor. Utz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Paldesh, Yilaph, and Butael. Butael fathered Rivkah, Rebekah. These 8 Milcah, born to Nachor's, Abraham's brother, his concubine, whose name was Remulah, bore children also, Tevach, Gechem, Techesh, and Mechah. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. These were the years of Sarah's life. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, also known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn Sarah and weep for her. Then he got up from his dead one and said to the sons of Het, I am a foreigner living in the land. I am a foreigner living as an alien with you. let me have a burial site with you, so that I can bury my dead wife. The sons of Het answered Abraham, listen to us, my lord. You are a prince of God among us, so choose any of our tombs to bury your dead. Not one of us would refuse you his tomb for burying your dead. Abraham got up and bowed before the people of the land, the sons of Het, and spoke with them. It is your desire to help me to bury my dead? Then listen to me. Ask Ephron, the son of Zochar, to give me a cave of Machpelah, which he owns, the one at the end of his field. He should sell it to me in your presence at its full value. Then I will have a burial site of my own. Ephron, an Hittite, was sitting among the sons of Het, and he gave Abraham his answer in the presence of his sons of Het, who belonged to the ruling council of the city. No, my lord, listen to me. I'm giving you the field with its cave. I'm giving it to you. In the presence of my people, I give it to you. Abraham bowed before the people of the land and spoke to Ephron in their hearing. Please be good enough to listen to me. I will pay the price of the field. Accept it from me. I will bury my dead there. But Ephron answered Abraham, my lord, listen to me. A plot of land worth 400 silver shekels. What is that between me and you? Just bury your dead. Abraham got to the point of what Ephron had said. So he weighed out for Ephron the amount of money he had specified in the presence of his sons of Het, 400 silver shekels, of the weight accepted among merchants 10 pounds. Thus the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which is by memory, the field, its cave, and all the trees around it were deeded to Abraham and as his possession in the presence of the sons of Het, who belonged to the ruling council of the city. Then Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave in the field of Machpelah by memory, also known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and its cave had been purchased by Abraham from the sons of Het as a burial site which would belong to him. By now, Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in everything. Abraham said to the servants who had served him the longest, who was in charge of all he owned, put your hand under my thigh, because I want you to swear by Yahweh, God of heaven and God of earth, that you will not choose a wife for my son among the women of the Canaanite, among whom I am living, but that you will go to my homeland, to my kinsmen, to choose a wife for my son Yitzhak. The servant replied, suppose the woman isn't willing to follow me to this land. Must I then bring your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you don't bring my son back here. Yahweh, the God of heaven, who took me away from my father's house and away from the land I was born in, who spoke to me and swore to me, I will give this land to your descendants. He will send his angel ahead of you, and you are to bring a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is unwilling to follow you back, then you are released from your obligation under my oath. Just don't bring my son back there. The servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning the matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and all kinds of gifts from his master, got up and went to Aram Naharaim, to Nakor's city. Toward evening, when the women go out to draw water, he had the camels kneel down outside the city by the well. He said, Yahweh, God of my master Abraham, please let me succeed today and show me your grace to my master Abraham. Here I am, standing by the spring, as the daughters of the townfolk come out to draw water. I will say to one of the girls, please lower your jug so I can drink. If she answers, yes, drink, I will water your camels as well. Then let her be the one you intended for your servant Yitzhak. This is how I'll know that you will have shown grace to your master. Before he had finished speaking, Rivkah, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nakor's, Abraham's brother, came out with her jug on her shoulder. The girl was very beautiful, a virgin, never having had sexual relations with any man. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came up. The servant ran to meet her and said, "Please give me a sip of water from your jug to drink." "Drink, my lord," she replied, and immediately lowered her jug into her arm and let him drink. When she was through letting him drink, she said, "I will also draw water for your camels until they have drunk their full." She quickly emptied her jug into the trough, then ran again to the well to draw water, and kept on drawing water for all his camels. The men gazed at her in silence, waiting to find out whether Yahweh had made his trip successful or not. When the camels were done drinking, the man took a gold nose ring, weighed 1/5 of an ounce, and 2 gold bracelets weighing 4 ounces, and asked, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She answered, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, born to Nachor," adding, "We have plenty of straw and fodder, and room for staying overnight." The man bowed his head and prostrated himself before Yahweh. Then he said, "Blessed be Yahweh, God of my master Abraham, who has not abandoned his faithful love for my master, because Yahweh has guided me to the house of my master's kinsman." The girl ran off and told her mother's household what had happened. Rivkah had a brother named Laban. When he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists besides, and when he heard his sister Rivkah's report of what the man had said to her, he ran out to the spring and found the man standing there by the camels. "Come on in," he said, "you whom Yahweh has blessed. Why are you standing outside when I have made room for you in the house? Prepared a place for the camels." So the men went outside, and while the camels were being unloaded and provided straw and fodder, water was brought for him to wash his feet and the feet of the men with him. But when a meal was set before him, he said, "I won't eat until I say what I have to say." Laban said, "Speak." He said, "I am Abraham's servant. Yahweh has greatly blessed my master, so that he has grown wealthy. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female slaves, camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore my master a son when she was old, and he has given him everything he has. My master made me swear, saying, 'You are not to choose a wife for my son from among the women of the Canaanite, among whom I am living. Rather, you are to go to my father's house, to my kinsman, to choose a wife for my son.' I said to my master, 'Suppose the woman isn't willing to follow me?' Abraham answered me, Yahweh, in whose presence I live, will send his angel with you to make your trip successful, and you are to pick a wife for my son from my kinsman and my father's house. This will release you from your obligation under my oath. But if, when you come to my kinsman, they refuse to give her to you, this too will release you from my oath." So today I came to the spring and said, "Yahweh, God of my master, Abraham, if you are causing my trip to succeed in its purpose, then here I am, standing by the spring. I will say to one of the girls coming out to draw water, 'Let me have a sip of water from your jug.' If she answers, 'Yes, drink,' and I will water your camels as well, then let her be the woman you intend for my master's son." And even before I had finished speaking to my heart, there came Rivkah, going out with her jug on her shoulder. She went down to the spring and drew water. When I said to her, "Please let me have a drink," she immediately lowered the jug from her shoulder and said, "Drink. I will water your camels as well." So I drank, and she had the camels drink too. I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" And she answered, "The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nachor, whom Milcah bore to him." Then I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, bowed my head, prostrated myself before Yahweh, and blessed Yahweh, God of my master Abraham, for having led me in the right way to obtain my master's brother's granddaughter for his son. So now, if you people intend to show grace and truth to my master, tell me. But if not, tell me, so that I can turn elsewhere." Laban and Bethuel replied, "Since this comes from Yahweh, we can't say anything to you either bad or good. Rivkah is here in front of you. Take her and go. Let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh has said." When Abraham's servant heard what they said, he prostrated himself on the ground to Yahweh. Then the servant brought out silver and gold jewelry, together with clothing, and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave valuable gifts to her brother and mother. He and his men then ate and drank and stayed the night. In the morning they got up and he said, "Send me off to my master." Her brother and mother said, "Let the girl stay with us a few days, at least 10. After that, she will go." He answered them, "Don't delay me, since Yahweh has made my trip successful, but let me go back to my master." They said, "We will call the girl and see what she says." They called Rivkah and asked her, "Will you go with this man?" And she replied, "I will." So they sent their sister Rivkah away with her nurse. Abraham's servant and his men, they blessed Rivkah with these words, "O sister, may you be the mother of millions, and may your descendants possess the cities of those who hate them." Then Rivkah and her maid mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rivkah and went his way. Meanwhile, Yitzhak, one evening after coming along the road from Ber Lacharoy, he was living in the Negev, went out walking in the field, and as he looked up, he saw camels approaching. Rivkah too looked up, and when she saw Yitzhak, she quickly dismounted the camel. She said to the servants, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" When the servants replied, "It's my master," she took her veil and covered herself. The servants told Yitzhak everything he had done. Then Yitzhak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rivkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus was Yitzhak comforted for the loss of his mother. We'll end with the Aaronic blessing. Yahweh will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yahweh will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahweh will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and will set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.